No, you don't want to stand in the middle of that.
I
No!
can't move.
No! And
move,
you're dead.
dude.
I think we just lost half of our raid.
I love the icons in here for them too.
Oh, no, no, no! We need to wait until we literally see the whites of their eyes. For Narnia!
Good morrow, Ashers! Welcome to another news update for Ashes of Creation, the MMO. And oh my god, did we get an exciting stream from the monthly dev update. We got to see a node siege with over 100 bloody players taking part in large-scale combat with siege engines and all kinds of stuff going on. It was super exciting. But before that, and yeah, this is teasing, but we're going to get some news first with what is actually going on with the biggest scam in gaming history since Star Citizen. First off, let's have a moment of silence for Margaret's RTX 3090 graphics card that melted on her. It's hard enough to find a graphics card in the current PC DIY market, and hearing of a person that can actually afford a 3090 lose it is more than a little painful. On a definitively lighter note, we heard earlier in the week that Jeffrey Bard, the lead designer for Ashes of Creation, is leaving Intrepid. This is a really critical time in the game's development process, but there isn't really a better time, and the larger MMO community seems to have taken this news not so well, using it as ammunition to shoot down Ashes of Creation. Jeff is a personality that will be missed, and his vision for the game so perfectly aligned with what I wanted from Ashes of Creation that I'm very, very sad to see him go after about 5 years at Intrepid. Whatever your opinion might be around the lead designer actually leaving the game, I don't think it's anything too serious to be concerned about. Yes, it will affect the project in a negative way and potentially even cause delays. My tongue does not want to work with me today. But the pressure is obviously on now to find a good replacement for him. This won't affect the game in the long run, in my opinion, and I wish him all the best of luck in following his dreams in going into the VR gaming market, which he's been wanting to do for a very long time apparently. So we wish the best of Bards all the best. Cheers, Jeff. Replacing Jeff on stream Friday was the lead programmer, Kevin McPherson, that joined us for a very interesting look into the more back end of things, of how the game actually functions and works and how they made technical progress in the last while. He's got quite a bit of experience with 7 total MMOs under his belt, EverQuest being among them, and we've got some really interesting insight from that. I'd recommend you go and take a look at the actual stream itself, which should be on YouTube by now, if you want to hear a little bit more about it. It's not something I want to get too deeply into, even though it is interesting. And finally, before we jump into the Siege of the Node, the Alpha and NDA are still unscheduled for the 9th of July. By NDA, I mean lifting of the NDA visually. Right now, the verbal NDA has still been lifted, so you can chat about anything regarding the game if you've played it. But I'm not going to go too deeply into that. The idea here is that that's still on track, and we're in for a very tough time in the next month and a few days. I'm hoping that they do not delay it for obvious bloody reasons. Even though the game is not nearly complete, the community just has to deal with an incomplete game, taking scrutiny from the wider MMO community, with the design philosophy being as open and transparent as possible. And without further ado, let's talk node sieges. A 30-minute node siege video with some little bit of boss fight in between at the start, graced our eyeballs on stream on Friday, and oh my god, did it look good. While obvious issues are present, once again, mostly visually, the gameplay did look amazing. We've got to see some siege equipment like ballistae and trebuchets being used, as well as large-scale combat. Obviously, that's kind of the point, with about 100 versus 100 people, although they did mention over 100, so I'm not entirely sure how that works. Needless to say, I've made a few notes on this because I don't want to drag on too long of things that I thought was really, really cool to see and worth noting. as I'll be making a video on it a little bit later, just to go into more specifics. Among these notes, the combat looked pretty spammy in terms of visual effect, but once again, that is really early stages. They're still working on it. I just thought I'd mention it. The node and fight is spread over a really large area. The node itself is huge, allowing for a lot of tactical decisions being made from defenders and attackers. You could do cool sneaky tactics and actually try and get in from a different angle like they did at one point. The area has a lot of clutter around it. It helps a lot in terms of immersion, really. The place looks lived in for a very large proportion of it, so that's cool. I love the idea of it not just being a battleground that's balanced, but it should also seem like a livable area for that extra level of immersion. One of the gates to the throne room gets attacked at one point, and you can actually see the gate taking damage over time with it degrading. The pipes, or rather the palisades, get bent and destroyed slowly as they attack it. They never ended up destroying it, but still fascinating. Steven gets pulled out of the air off of his flying mount at one point, making for a pretty funny oh shit moment. So mount engagement from foot is very possible and confirmed. Really cool idea and really cool to see. Those are just some of the highlights that I thought were really worth mentioning. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about here, and as we move forward, there's going to be a lot more to talk about. So, super excited. I just want to say thank you very much for listening and watching this video. I hope you guys have an amazing week going forward, and may Ashes be amazing.